So guys, welcome to our channel once again. In today's video on our biology JAMB exam revision series, we're going to answer these 19 JAMB repeated questions on the topic germination of seeds and conditions necessary for germination of seeds. So guys, ensure to stay till the end of this video, and don't also forget to pause this video at any point you feel you want to answer the question before we provide the answer. So you can always pause the video and guess rightly the answer to the question before we provide the answer thereafter. So let's start with the first question here. We have an example of an endospermal seed is A. Cashew nut, B. Cotton seed, C. Maize grain, D. Bean seed. So guys, the answer to this question is option C, and that's the maize grain. An endospermal seed is one which the endosperm remains in the mature seed and then provides nutrition to the developing embryo. So maize grains is an example of this type of seed, and that's in contrast to these other options listed here. They are non-endospermal seed. So guys, the only endospermal seed here is the maize grain. So let's look at the next question. Guys, the next question here is question number 2, and the question says, in a bean seed, absorption of water at the beginning of germination is through the A. Plumule, B. Ilum, C. Tester, D. Micropyle. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's the micropyle. A micropyle is a small opening in the surface of the ovule, and it is through this that the pollen tube penetrates, and then it actually helps the absorption of water at the beginning of germination. So let's look at the next question, guys. That's question number 3. We have a diagram here to answer the question with, and the question says here, use the diagram above to answer the question. The part labeled II in the diagram is the A. endosperm, B. radicle, C. plumule, and D. coleorhiza. So guys, the answer to this question is option A, and that's the endosperm. This part labeled II is the endosperm, and in case you would like to know, the endosperm is a nutrient-rich tissue that surrounds the embryo and nourishes it in the seeds of many flowering plants. So it is actually formed from the fusion of the male and female gametes. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 4. The question says, epigynous germination of a seed is characterized by A. Equal growth rates of both hypocotyl and epicotyl, B. More rapid elongation of the epicotyl than the hypocotyl, C. More rapid elongation of the hypocotyl than the epicotyl, and D. Lack of growth of the hypocotyl. So guys, the answer to this question is option C. There is more rapid elongation of the hypocotyl than the epicotyl. So an example of a plant with the epigynous germination is the bean seed. It is characterized by a more rapid elongation of the hypocotyl than the epicotyl. So this epigynous germination is actually used to define a form of germination that takes place above the ground. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 5. It says, here we have a diagram to answer with. So the question says, use the diagram above to answer the question. The part labeled IV in the diagram is the A. endosperm, B. coleoptile, C. plumule, and D. radicle. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's the radicle. The part labeled IV is the radicle. So the radicle, if you care to know, is the embryonic root of a plant. It's the first part of the embryo to emerge from the seed during the germination, and then it grows downward into the soil. So let's look at the next question. That's question number 6. We have a diagram here to answer with, and then the question says, the type of germination illustrated is termed A. hypocotyl, B. epigynous, C. hypogynous, D. epicotyl. So guys, like we've explained earlier on, in epigynous germination, the germination takes place above the ground level. So looking at this diagram, right, it's an epigynous germination because seeds are germinating above the ground level. So guys, option B is the answer to this question, and that's the epigyle. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 7. It says, water is necessary for germinating seed because it A, activates the enzymes, B, promotes aerobic respiration, C, protects the seeds from desiccation, and D, wets the soil for proper germination. So guys, the answer to this question is option A, and that activates the enzyme. So water is necessary for germination because it activates the enzymes. And like we know, the enzymes are the biological catalysts that speed up chemical reactions. So in the case of germination, water will activate these enzymes that break down stored food reserves in the seed, providing the energy for growth. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 8. It says, germination in which cotyledons are above the ground is called A, hypogyle, B, epigyle, C, hypocotyl, D, epicotyl. So guys, like we know already, the answer to this question is option B, and that's the epigyle germination. So this is a type of germination where the cotyledons are pushed above the ground level. So germination takes place above the ground level. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 9. It says, germination is the process in which a seed, A, breaks dormancy and starts to grow, B, develops into a mature plant, C, begins to photosynthesize, D, absorbs nutrients from the soil. So guys, the answer to this question is option A. Germination actually takes place when a seed breaks dormancy and starts to grow. So in that condition, we say the seed have started to germinate. So guys, option A is the correct answer to this question. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 10. It says, pineapple is an example of A, an aggregate fruit, B, a dehiscent fruit, C, a simple fruit, D, a composite fruit. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's a composite fruit. Pineapple is a composite fruit that is derived from the ovaries of several flowers united into a single mass. So it's also regarded as multiple fruits. So guys, that's the answer to this question, and that's option D, a composite fruit. So let's look at the next question, guys, and that's question number 11. Here we have a diagram to answer the question with, and the question here says, the main function of the structure labeled I is to A, store food for the young plants, B, store water for the seedling, C, pull the young shoots above the ground, and D, protect the young plumule. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's protect the young plumule. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 12. It says, the embryo is made up of the following parts except A, endosperm, B, the plumule, C, oviparity, D, the radicle. So guys, the answer to this question is option C. All these other parts are parts of the embryo of a plant, but guys, oviparity is not a part of the embryo of a plant. So guys, the answer to this question is option C, and that's oviparity. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 13. It says, use the diagram above to answer this question. So we can see the diagram provided here. The question says, the function of the part labeled V in the diagram is the A, secretion of digestive enzymes, B, storage of food, C, protection of radicle, and D, manufacture of food. So guys, the answer to this question is option C, and that's protection of radicle. So this part labeled V, which is the chorioryza, protects the radicle. It is a protective sheet that surrounds the radicle of monocotyledonous plants. So guys, the main function of this part is to protect the radicle, and that's option C here. So let's look at the next question, guys, and that's question number 14. It says, a seedling grown in the dark is likely to be A, dormant, B, stunted, C, sturdy, D, etiolated. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's etiolated. So guys, when a plant is grown in the dark or in absence of sun, such plants can actually begin to grow faster and tend to be more elongated, and actually in this growth it tends to be weak as well and become pale, but becomes elongated. So this situation is known as etiolation. So guys, let's look at the next question. That's question number 15. The question says, a germinating seed requires oxygen, which is essential for A, the formation of water molecules, B, metabolism, C, converting carbohydrates into glucose, and D, transporting energy from one part of the plant to another. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, and that's metabolism. So the major reason why plants will need oxygen is for them to carry out chemical reactions, and these reactions are metabolic processes. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, and that's metabolism. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 16. The question says, an example of an organ of perennation in plants is A, calyx of flower, B, petal of a flower, C, rhizome, and D, seed. So guys, the answer to this question is option C, and that's the rhizome. So the perennation here refers to the ability of these plants to survive from one germinating season to another, especially under unfavorable conditions such as drought in winter. So guys, this actually involves development of perinating organs which stores enough nutrients to sustain the organism during unfavorable seasons. So rhizome is an example of an organ of perennation. So that's the answer to this question, guys. And that's option C. So let's look at the next question. Question number 17. It says, dash is a tiny hole through which air and water gets into the embryo of the seed. So we have options A, seed coats, B, micropyle, C, seed shell, and D, helium. So guys, the answer to this question is micropyle, and we've answered this question prior to this moment, so you should take note of that. So let's look at the next question, guys, and that's question number 18. The question says, in epigynous germination, the cotyledons are A, carried above the ground by the elongation of epicotyl, B, carried above the ground by elongation of hypocotyl, C, pulled underground by elongation of epicotyl, and D, pulled underground by elongation of hypocotyl. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, and that's carried above the ground by elongation of hypocotyl. In epigynous germination, guys, the cotyledons are carried above the ground by elongation of the hypocotyl. The hypocotyl is actually the part of the stem of the embryo that is beneath the stalks of the seed leaves, and it's directly above the roots. So guys, this hypocotyl actually carries the cotyledons or the seed leaf above the ground level. So that's the case of epigynous germination. So guys, let's look at the next and the last question here, and that's question number 19. It says, which of the following is a method of seed dispersal? A, photosynthesis, B, wind, C, germination, D, fertilization. So guys, the method of seed dispersal here is wind. So dispersal is actually a process where the seeds are spread or transported away from the parent plant to a new location where they can stay, germinate, and grow. So guys, actually the method of dispersal out of the options given to us here is wind. The wind can carry the seeds from the parent plant to a new location where they can germinate and grow. So guys, this will be the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not yet a subscriber. Also, if you have any question regarding this video, please drop your question on the comment section below and we'll ensure to give you a response. Don't forget to share this video with your friends to enable us reach out to more people. Thank you for watching this video and see you next time.